Alright, it's time to buckle up as a college football fan, as tons and tons of news is happening, and I'm going to do my best to cover each and every topic. There is so much going on, and today we've already had 3 big coaches hired. 3 SEC programs have found their new guy, and the first one we're going to talk about is Florida, who decided to go out and get Jon Sumrall. Sumrall is one of the more unique coaching candidates in this year's carousel, as he has done more with less at both Troy and at Tulane. He also has plenty of SEC experience, he played in the SEC, so he understands what it takes to win, and the culture that happens in this conference. Florida has hired a plethora of coaches ever since Urban Meyer, and has never really been able to find the success that they wanted. They had some flash under Dan Mullen, and had some okay seasons under Jim McElwain, but Billy Napier was not a great hire, Will Muschamp was awful, and now they're going to hope that Jon Sumrall can turn things around in Gainesville. Today we're to discuss the hire, how Florida got to this point, my thoughts, and what we should expect. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about Jon Sumrall. Okay, but let's first hear a word from today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. It has been an absolutely crazy weekend in college football, and with all the news going on, there's so many moving pieces, and now Conference Championship weekend is right around the corner. We have some weird matchups like Duke and Virginia, and another game of the century in the Big Ten between Indiana and Ohio State. Whether it's one of those 2 games or the annual Georgia vs. Bama SEC Championship game, Underdog definitely has you covered. If you're new to Underdog like I am, you can use the code FISHER and you'll get $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5, win or lose. That's FISHER. So here's how it works. Just pick higher or lower on 2 or more player stats and you're in the game. You also have a shot to win up to 5,000 times your money. And it's also that time again, as it is feast week on Underdog. For example, there is no college football game on today, but in the Denver Broncos vs. Washington Commanders game, I've already made my picks with Cortland Sutton and Terry McLaurin, and you can make your picks as well. There will also be picks for all the college football games this upcoming weekend, and you guys already know I'm all in on Indiana and their players. And if you're not a Big Ten or an ACC guy, the best part is Underdog is available in nearly every SEC state, like Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. 2 of those teams play this weekend. And again, if you want to get in on the action, go ahead and use my code FISHER, and you'll get $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5, win or lose. And thank you to Underdog for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so Florida has been in a bad spot the last couple of years, as ever since Urban Meyer, they just haven't been able to figure things out. Whether it was Will Muschamp, Jim McElwain, Dan Mullen, or Billy Napier, Florida was never able to get back to the top. Their best season, in my opinion, was 2020, and had they beat Alabama in the SEC title game, they could have had a shot at the 2020 college football playoff. But that wouldn't end up happening. After over a month of searching, Florida has now found its next head coach in Tulane's Jon Sumrall. When Florida ended up getting rid of Billy Napier in mid-October, many Gators fans went into Lane Kiffin or bust mode. Obviously, he's now going to LSU, and Sumrall was one of the hottest names in coaching, getting interest from tons of schools like Auburn and Arkansas, and this isn't new. Last year, both West Virginia and North Carolina wanted Sumrall, but he opted to sign an extension with Tulane and come back for another season. But the allure of the SEC ended up getting him, and how do we get here? Well, Florida fired Billy Napier in October after starting out 3-4. The team was preseason ranked, and he went 22-23 in 4 seasons, including a 12-16 mark in the conference. He was 5-17 against ranked opponents, including 0-14 away from home. Wasn't great. The Gators have not won 9 or more games since 2019, and that's when they won 11-2 under Dan Mullen. He ended up seeing decent success, but as I said, neither him, Jim McElwain, Muschamp, or Napier have even gotten close to the success of Urban Meyer, who won 2 national championships with the Gators. So, who is going to be the new head coach? Well, now it's going to be Jon Sumrall. One site said that even though Florida missed out on Lane, they think they got the better head coach and a better fit in the long run. So, who is Jon Sumrall? Well, he ended up playing football at Kentucky, as he was a linebacker from 2002 to 2004 before he became a graduate assistant for the Wildcats in 2005. He then spent time at San Diego, Tulane, and Troy before coaching linebackers at Ole Miss in 2018. He then went back to Kentucky for 2019 and 2020 and became the co-defensive coordinator for the Cats in 2021. He then took over as the head coach at Troy, and in 2 seasons, he led them to a 23-4 overall record. They also went to back-to-back Sun Belt Conference championships and ranked inside the top 25 for the first time in program history. He then would decide to take the Tulane job after Willie Fritz ended up going to Houston, and so far through 2 years there, he's led the Green Wave to a 19-7 record, and they're in the American Conference Championship with a potential to go to the college football playoff. In total, Sumrall is 42-11 in 4 years as an FBS coach. Yesterday, Sumrall beat Charlotte 27-0 at Tulane to earn a spot in the American Conference Championship game, but he was expected to leave in the coming days for an SEC job. Speaking to reporters after the game, Sumrall did not deny that he was considering other opportunities. However, he said he hadn't made up his mind yet. Sumrall said, quote, "I talked to David Harris a little bit tonight, and I'll talk to my wife in the morning. Any opportunities I ever have, it has to do with a lot of other people other than myself, and I love this place and I love Tulane, but I'd like for tonight to be about this football team. It's really my focus." Yahoo Sports' Ross Dellinger reported that Tulane offered Sumrall more than $4 million to stay with the Green Wave, but he would likely earn around $10 million in the SEC. Sumrall also is not a big fan of the college football's hiring cycle, coaches having to leave their jobs before the season is over. We're now seeing that with Lane at Ole Miss. With National Signing Day in early December and the transfer portal opening in early January, coaches have often put together next season's roster within days of taking a new job. He said, quote, "I don't love the calendar that we have right now. This is kind of a goofy model. I think you heard Nick Saban talking about it a couple weeks ago on game day. Yeah, he'd end up taking a job, and that job will be the Florida Gators. He's not only somebody who knows the SEC extremely well, but one of the rising coaches in the profession at just 43 years old. He has proven he can build a consistent winner quickly, taking each of his past 4 teams to the conference title game. It would not be surprising if he wins and wins big while he's at Florida." Sumrall will become the 31st head coach in Gators history, as AD Scott Strickland announced that today. He said, quote, "Jon Sumrall is a proven winner and an exceptional leader who has built successful programs at every stop. He brings tremendous energy, strong recruiting relationships across our footprint, and a philosophy rooted in toughness, discipline, and player development. Not many coaches win big at 2 different non-power programs, and even fewer do it as quickly as Jon has done. He joins rare company with guys like Urban Meyer, Brian Kelly, and Willie Fritz, who delivered immediate success at multiple stops. Jon's track record of rapid turnarounds speaks directly to his leadership and the culture that he establishes. In terms of some of the other pieces, former Jacksonville Jags general manager David Caldwell is now going to be Florida's next general manager, and the deal will also include some incentives for the Gators getting to the college football playoff, and they need to start winning because they've only been to 2 bowl games in the last 4 years, which is unacceptable for Florida standards. Florida ended up finishing 4-8 on the season and 2-6 against SEC opponents, and their 4 wins were the lowest since 2017, which came under Jim McElwain. Sumrall said, quote, "The University of Florida is one of the premier programs in college football, and it's an incredible honor to serve as the head football coach. I believe in building a team rooted in toughness, accountability, and relentless competitive spirit, and Florida has everything necessary to compete at the highest level. The resources, the support, the tradition, and the passion of Gator Nation. My family and I are excited to get to work." So what are people thinking? Well, a lot of people think the hire is pretty solid, and Sports Illustrated said, quote, "The Gators needed an adult in charge of their program who understands how to get every facet of the organization pulling in the same direction. Sumrall has proven to be that guy in past stops at Troy and Tulane, and he's a true builder and looks at things holistically rather than just focusing on one side of the ball. That is by no means an assurance of long-term success, but if anybody could unlock what Florida is capable of, it may well be Sumrall. He relates well to everyone, and is not afraid to change if things are not working out. Yeah, I think Sumrall will be able to salvage this recruiting class. He'll probably get a ton of players through the portal, and one dude he needs to retain is running back Jaden Baugh, who had an incredible performance yesterday, and could be one of the top running backs in college football next year. For now, I like the hire. I think Sumrall will be solid, but the only thing I have to point out is last time Florida hired a head coach, it was also a Sun Belt coach from Louisiana. Who knows if he'll be the same or different than Napier, but for now, there's a lot of optimism in the swamp. But what do you guys think? If you're a Florida fan, what do you think of the hire? How do you think you guys will do? And what other topics should I cover next? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out one of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.